Hey Bob, don't work so hard. Sally, did you get dressed in the dark today? Sarcasm is just a light-hearted way to provide constructive criticism. Or is it? We may all laugh at it, and some of us even find it funny, but there's a big downside. Hi, I'm PJ from Threshold Learning, and I turn managers into great leaders. For years now, I've seen leaders use sarcasm as a way to correct behaviors or actions of their team. Usually, they're just trying to be funny, and they're trying to be seen as one of the guys. So whether it's Bob, who took a 5-minute break to check his Facebook, being told to stop working so hard, or George, who ran into a meeting 5 minutes late and being greeted with, "It's nice of you to join us." Kelly knows she messed up and made a mistake, but the manager felt the need to highlight it by saying, "Aren't you brilliant?" Maybe it's Melinda, who's used as an example of what not to do. After all, who would want to be like her? Leadership fail. Sarcasm has no place in leadership. It's so important that leaders say what they mean and mean what they say. So if your intention is to correct someone, then do it. If you're asking for something to be done or done differently, then ask. Sarcasm doesn't provide constructive feedback. It only serves the purpose of embarrassing or belittling and demeaning whoever it is that's your target. So no, your sarcasm, it isn't funny. It's destructive, and it works against everything you're trying to do and build as a leader. Anyone who's ever been the target of sarcastic comments has likely lost respect for the person dishing them out. And they probably think them a bit of a jerk. But what's worse is what happens inside that person's brain during these interactions. So a little bit of science. The amygdala sends a distress signal to the hypothalamus, and that's our brain's command center. And it activates the entire nervous system with a fight or flight response. It happens so quickly that we're not even aware of it until the stress hormones are running through our body. So while our body is ready to run or kill something, which is great if you're being chased or you need extra energy to get out of a bad situation, it's not, however, very helpful in the work environment. It's simply the body's response to a threat. Now the problem is that that threat doesn't have to be on our physical well-being. We respond exactly the same way to a threat to our social well-being or to an attack on our self-esteem. And that's exactly what sarcasm does. So for George, who yes, came in late to the meeting and he got his sarcastic greeting, he now sits down and spends the next 5 to 10 minutes recovering from the physiological response to the sarcastic comment. He's trying to slow down his breathing and calm himself down. And then he spends another 5 minutes coming up with witty comebacks that he could have said or being generally angry and upset. And then after about 20 minutes from when the meeting first began, he might be able to concentrate on what's going on. As the leader, you just lost an additional 15 minutes plus a ton of respect in your failed attempt at humor. It starts with saying what you mean and meaning what you say. After all, if you want people to follow you, there has to be no question in their minds or in anybody else's minds on what your intention is. Start with thinking through the results you want to achieve. As a leader, you should be looking to encourage and inspire, to teach, to coach, to demonstrate, and none of them are possible with the use of sarcasm. From there, remember to always praise in public and correct in private. It's the only way that you will ever see real change from your team members. If you put them on the spot and they're on the defensive, the stress hormones, they're going to ensure that they're not thinking straight, and never mind listening to what you're trying to say. Correction will always be taken more seriously when the insult of sarcasm is removed. Lastly, be approachable. When leaders are less sarcastic, team members will tend to be more open when facing a problem or making a mistake. And they'll find you easier to approach and deal with. They know that you're there to support them and not to insult or make fun of them. Have the courage to be honest and have the hard conversations. While the use of sarcasm and that type of humor might make it easier for you, and it might make you feel like less of a bad guy, the results are hurting your team members, and they're damaging your reputation as a leader. Leading with humor can do wonders and great things when it comes to breaking the tension of a stressful situation. But be sure that everyone's laughing together and not at the expense of one person. To learn more on how to become a great leader, like, follow, subscribe, click on the links and buttons, and stay tuned for some more great information. Thanks for listening, and thanks for making an effort to make your work environment happier and healthier.